Welcome to our new segment, D&G Explorers, Let's Compare.
We are going to compare Disney Cruise Line versus Norwegian Cruise Lines.
And we're going to tell you what we like and dislike for Norwegian Bliss.
Coming up next on D&G Explorers. So we are really excited about this series. By the end of 2021, we will have sailed on 3 Disney cruise ships, which we are huge Disney enthusiasts, and 3 Norwegian cruise ships.
That's a lot of ships.
It is a lot.
A lot of ships.
So we thought it would be fun to compare the 2 cruise lines to see which one is better.
And on this one, we're going to compare the Norwegian Bliss on what we like and dislike. And we have a list, let me tell you.
We set on the Norwegian Bliss on December 1st, 2018. Next time, on our next video, we are going to be comparing it to the Disney Magic, which we sailed on March 23rd, 2018. So here is a little bit of information about the Norwegian Bliss. It entered service in April 21st, 2018. It's part of the Breakaway Class Plus, with its sister ships being the Escape, which we are actually sailing in September, the Joy, and the soon-to-be-built Encore, which we are also selling in 2021. It's by far the biggest ship that we have sailed on. The length of it is 1,094 feet. The gross tonnage is 1,068 and 28,000. The capacity based on double occupancy is 4,004 passengers and 1,716 crew, which brings it up to almost 5,800 passengers and crew.
That's crazy.
It was a very big ship. For the Norwegian Bliss, there is a godfather for it. It's a nationally syndicated morning radio host named Elvis Duran. As I mentioned before, on December 1st, we went on the Norwegian Bliss, which was only just over 7 months when it was launched, so it was really just a brand new ship. So we came up with 10 things that we liked about the Bliss. 10. So Greg, take it away. We're going to start from the 10th down to, or up to, number 1.
So number 10 would be the spa/gym area, which aren't very far from each other from what I remember. And what I really liked, we didn't do the spa. We walked around the spa and we liked what we saw, but we never have done a spa, which I would like to do one sometime. But the gym was really nice, and it was always cool in there as far as the temperature, so you're not sweating and everything. And it had a very nice view with the big windows, and you could see the other ships going by, or the ocean, or even when we're docked somewhere you can see the island. So it was really cool.
Yeah, we went on opening day when we boarded the ship. We were able to do a lot of tours to see different areas of it, and the spa was open for us to tour, so we were really impressed with some of the different rooms that they had there. They had that huge kind of a jacuzzi pool.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty neat. And then with the gym, this was actually the first time that we used a gym on a cruise, and we had talked about that we had wanted to do it, and it was really fun to be on a treadmill while you're looking out at the ocean. And in fact, we saw one of the Disney ships passing us while we were out there on one of the days.
Not sure which one it was, but...
No, they have machines there, equipment machines, and they also have like loose weights that you could use in case you wanted to do it. We just basically did the machines, but primarily we did the treadmill. All right, Greg, so what's number 9?
Number 9 is the ease of the disembarkation of the ship.
So what specifically did you like about that?
I thought it was actually very smooth. We had breakfast before we left, so a lot of people were leaving before we left, so that was even less people we had to worry about leaving the ship when it was our time to go.
That was really, we didn't feel stressed, but it even starts the night before that. So those of you familiar with cruising, the night before you leave, you if you're going to have your luggage taken off for you, then what you do is you get tags and you put them on your luggage. You leave them outside your door at night. Well, the good thing with the Bliss is you went down to the atrium where guest services was, and you didn't have to go up and talk to anyone. You just went and you picked a color code of when you were going to leave the ship. And I think that really helped ease it, because you didn't have to go at a specific time if you didn't want to go, earlier than you wanted to. So we stayed as long as we could, but it was just really smooth and easy. So for us, number 9 is the ease of disembarkation. All right, Greg, so number 8 on reasons why we like the Norwegian Bliss. What is number 8?
the cruise director and the staff were really good. The cruise director, Silas Cook was his name, I think. He was probably one of the best cruise directors we've ever had. He was engaging and funny, and he caught up with us a few times and talked a little bit. Said for me to wear sunscreen because I was white as a ghost, I guess. So, but he was funny, and the crew was a lot of fun, and they were nice and everything too. So
I would say Silas Cook was my favorite cruise director, and he was everywhere. You would hear him on the speaker overhead. You would see him at all these different events.
He was even dancing and everything up on the stage too. He had a lot of energy, so that was good.
And then some of the other staff that we liked was Benjamin from Washi Washi.
Washi Washi.
So the little Washi Washi song that Norwegian likes to do, and as well as some of the room stewards. There was one that was not in she didn't clean our room, but it seemed every time we went down the aisle, we were saying hi to her. So she was singing
Christmas songs at times too.
So we would say number 8 is the staff of the Norwegian Bliss.
So number 7 is the buffet. The buffet.
The buffet. So I would say I loved the buffet. So what I liked about it is there were several stations that were in multiple different areas, and they might have served the same things, but instead of just having to wait if you wanted an omelet, they served omelets in like 3 or 4 different locations. So there was always something there, and I like buffets in general because if you're going to be going on an excursion or you're going to be leaving the ship, I like to be able to pick out what you want. You might not be in the mood for certain things. You get in quickly and you get out.
And they had things for like a quick midnight snack if you were hungry and stuff too. I would also say the area on the other side where they make like the juice drinks and the mimosas and stuff, that was part of the buffet because we had the drink package and I asked for mimosa and they gave me twice the size glass of a mimosa, this huge like goblet thing. So she gave me 2 mimosas worth of one mimosa. So that was a lot, but that was cool that she did that.
So our number 7 is buffets, what we liked about the Norwegian Bliss. All right, we are now ready for number 6. Greg, what did we like for number 6?
The bars on the Bliss.
Bars on the Bliss go round and round.
I was just thinking that. My favorite was the mojito bar, which was the sugarcane mojito bar. That's where they had a lot of different original drinks, but I could drink mojito bars. I can drink mojitos all day long because it's just like water, and that's the dangerous part of those drinks.
Sweet water.
Yes, but they had a lot of good different flavors. Also in the mojito bar, there's a section outside by the waterfront area where you can have a drink and look out amongst the sea and the ocean. And see the ships going by and things like that. Having that bar there and easy access to mojitos was a plus for me.
I think my favorite, we had a few different bars, and we tried a few different bars.
There's like 20 bars, if not more.
There's over 16 for sure, bars and lounges. We liked also the bar in the observation lounge, which is at the front of the ship, which is unique to the Bliss, although some of the other newer NCL ships have it too, but we had that one quite a bit, so I think that was more of the location and just being what's around you. And then we also liked the District Brew House, and one of the drinks that I liked from there was it was a Guinness that had pumpkin in it. So I thought that was a unique flavor, and I would definitely look for that again if they ever have that. But so our number 6 was Bars on the Bliss.
So number 5 is the dining upgrades and experiences that we had with our dining, like the Ocean Blue. That was awesome. What were some of yours that you liked?
I liked, my favorite would have been the TEPPANYAKI. So
yeah, that too.
On the Norwegian Bliss, there are complimentary dining, which is the buffet. It's there's 3 main dining rooms, but there are some restaurants that are an additional charge. There's at least 5 or 6 of them. We were able to eat at 4 different ones while we were on it. And 2 of the ones that we liked the most were the Ocean Blue, which is a seafood one. We had the oyster shooters in 3 different shots, and we thought it was an actual appetizer. We didn't realize it was
a lot of alcohol.
Shots in there. But then we also had the teppanyaki, and I would say for me the best
awesome.
meal on the ship, as well as the show of it. The best tasting food that we had was the teppanyaki on it. So we like that there was additional options if you choose, and that was the upgraded dining.
I liked the fish that I had in the ocean blue. It was really, really good.
It was red snapper.
It was red snapper. I was gonna say I don't remember what it was, but yeah, it was really good.
All right, guys. So we are now down to number 4 of what we liked about the Norwegian Bliss. Number 4 for us is the staterooms. So we had a balcony room, and I don't remember the room. I know it was on deck 12, which was actually really good placing where it was. But what did you like about the stateroom?
The balcony is like the best thing because you can look out, and see the ocean and just sit, read a book, or listen to the waves as the ship is cutting through the water and everything. So I like the balcony a lot. Also, there was a cool shampoo and soap dispenser in the shower, and they still had the 2 separate bathrooms with the did they have the separate ones? No? Okay.
Wrong ship.
So they did not have the separate ones, but it was still a nice bathroom.
It was very modern. With it only being 7 months old, you can definitely, you expect nothing less than a room which looked really good. But I thought it was cool because that was really the first cruise that we had been on that they didn't have the little tiny bottles like for the shampoo and all that.
We had a lot of space like in the closets and the cupboards and everything. So we didn't. I don't think we ever.
They had a lot of
space.
Smaller hidden space, and they had room, as a lot of cruise lines have gone. They had room underneath the bed where you could put your luggage. So that made a big difference.
And you like the lighting too,
the
by the bed and everything.
They had lighting in all different spots. So above the bed, they had like the little wall sconces, and on it you had lights that you could do for night reading. You could do it just for ambiance. You had the little chargers, the USB ports that were up in the wall. Mm-hmm. In addition to what was on the desk, they also had charging and lights on that too. So the lighting on it was really cool.
What about the switch by the door that tells you do not disturb, or I guess if you need something?
Yeah, so we'll show the video of that while we're talking about it. But there is a outside. You can help your room steward aware if you needed service or not, or if it was a do not disturb. But basically, you would hit a switch, and it would tell them, basically give them clues if you're free and available to have them come into the room. But the coolest thing that we experienced on it, we were able to join some friends who had solo cabins. So not all cruise lines have solo cabins, but what we liked about it is
a whole area for solo people.
It was definitely dedicated to them. They had their own studio lounge.
Yep.
So the solo room obviously had a twin bed in there. It was a small bed. But they also had a virtual reality room on it. So even though it was an inside cabin, it was a monitor that showed what was going on currently outside. And I was actually very impressed with it. And I didn't know if I would feel claustrophobic on it. But
it's enough room for 1, maybe 2 people. But they were nice.
It was, and then so they also have it set up for. So if you are traveling alone and you're not with other people, they have it where you can meet other people. They have someone dedicated from the NCL staff where you can book reservations for dining, for shows, so you're not traveling alone, and even excursions. So I thought that was a really cool touch that was unique for Norwegian. So I think they did a really good job with the solo cabins.
So now we have number 3. That looks like a 3, like ET hands or something. Which is the waterfront. So that's a really cool spot outside. You can walk the whole, almost all the way around the whole ship.
Probably about 85% you can go around.
And then it like cuts in where you go through a door and you go back inside, and then you come back out again if you want, from what I remember anyway, so that you can go back on the other side. But it's basically just like it's called the waterfront. You walk around and you're in front of the water, so take a lot of selfie pictures and things like that. They had that one area that you walk over the glass. I think that was the same area, right, where it had the glass.
That was at the front of the ship, I believe. It might have been the back of the ship. It was the back of the ship.
But it was still cool. It was kind of scary, though, because you feel like you're going to fall through the glass into the water, but, yep.
So whenever I thought of cruising, before I had been on one, I think of a picture with Walt Disney when he was sitting along the promenade, and that's really what the feeling of the waterfront is. It's a long promenade deck that goes around.
You're outside.
And it's what was so cool about it is they had a lot of comfortable sofas and chairs that you could relax in, that you could hang out with friends. As Greg had mentioned earlier, there were bars there that you could go to. There was a couple of different bars.
The Mojito bar.
Some of the restaurants you can even eat outside, depending obviously on the weather. But it was just a really cool environment and place to stay, to enjoy being outside. And to me, that's what cruising is about, even more so than being up on the top deck where the pool deck is. To me, the waterfront was a lot more special. So that was our number 3, the waterfront. All right. So our or if you're Greg, put
whatever.
So one of the unique things of the NCL Bliss are the go-karts. So our little odd noises are the go-karts.
Beep beep.
So it a few of the NCL ships now have them on that, but one of the things we were looking forward to was going on the go-karts on a cruise ship. And I have to say, for me, that was one of the funnest things to do.
It was awesome. But in my defense, it was not my fault that I held everybody up, because I had a car that would not go, and they had to finally switch out my car, and they actually let us go way longer than what we should have.
Yeah,
so
I think we're supposed to do like maybe 8 laps, and I think we ended up doing probably about 14.
Yeah.
But we did do a video on that, but that was a very fun day, and when we had a chance to go. Now, you do have to pay for that. That's an additional cost, but I would say it was something that was well worth it. And our number 2 is the go-karts on the Norwegian Bliss.
And last but not least, number 1 is the Observation Lounge. Very cool area with big panes of glass, and it was meant for when they go to Alaska, but this was also nice that we got to see just the open ocean, and you can sit or lay down, stretch out on their reclining type couch chair thingies, and just enjoy the area. You can have your snacks there and your drinks, and we actually met a nice person that we talked to a little bit. I don't know if you remember that gentleman that we were talking to for a while. And
yes.
Yeah, and so I liked it. I thought it was cool. What did you think?
Well, I had heard about the Observation Lounge before we went, but you don't really, when you see pictures of it, you don't really get a chance to fully grasp what that is. So it's a 2-story window basically at the front of the ship, and we thought it was just mainly at the front of the ship. And we had heard that people would go to sleep on the couches there and take up the space. I didn't realize how big it was. So
I could see why they did that, though.
Yeah,
because it was so nice.
You have a long, it's kind of like an indoor waterfront. So you have a lot of chairs, you have comfortable chairs, couches, you have the view glass enclosed of the ocean, and it goes a little bit up to the front where the big observation lounge is, but you have a bar there. You have at times a piano player that played music. There were 3 smaller buffets that were in there, buffet counters.
Oh, yeah, I
so there
that.
Was, if you wanted it had kind of
like all the way around a little bit,
like a library feel to it. It was a very quiet thing and relaxing. And we didn't find this out until like maybe the 3rd day of the trip, and we were like thinking, why haven't we found this before? So we are excited when we go on the NCL Encore, because that also has the observation lounge. But
and this time we know where it's at.
We know where it is. So for us, our number 1 favorite feature of the NCL Bliss was the observation lounge. So as with anything, when there's a good, there's things that you might not like about it. I don't know if they're like that, but they're things that we didn't always agree with on it. But I would say on this we have 6 things.
So number 6.
Number 6 is the entrance when you board the ship.
the most awe moment that it should be when you walk onto a ship, sadly was not like that when you first walk on this ship. Because all you see is, it looked like behind the scenes type of a thing where you walk through a corridor with just brown on each side, kind of look like metal and piping and everything. And then you go out into the casino area of all places, and then you see the chandelier, which probably should have been the first wow factor, but...
Yeah, so there was no wow factor entering the ship, and it was like you're going through crew quarters to get onto the ship. You figured, you know, even if it's painted there, like with murals, but it was just a white entrance into it, and it was kind of like a ho-hum, you know, not that exciting of a feeling. So for us, I would say number 6 was entering the ship and not being wowed by it.
Yep. Number 5 is some of the lesser restaurants that we didn't enjoy too much. My restaurant that I really didn't like too much was Le Bistro, because all you could feel was the vibration of the engine from underneath. It felt like a constant earthquake to me. And it was a little loud because you could hear the sounds of it as well. So you couldn't really hear people talking to you too easily that much.
All the dining seemed to be loud in general, but the Le Bistro was aft.
This was in the back of the ship.
Which is at the back. And I think Greg was more sensitive to it than that. But in general, it was the more expensive restaurants. We had the dining plan, so that meant on this one we had 4 restaurants, upgraded restaurants that we could choose. Of the 4 upgraded restaurants, we were less excited about Le Bistro as well as Cagney's. Now, it's subjective. It could have been what we ordered that maybe wasn't the best thing, but we didn't walk away wowed from those experiences saying, oh, we got to come back there and do it again. And if we were paying when we didn't have if we were paying a la carte and we weren't paying with the dining package, then I probably would have a more negative feeling in terms of me not liking it even more. So I would say we didn't feel the quality or the experience, I should say experience of the restaurants were there for the upgraded restaurants the specialty restaurants. All right, so number 4 of what we didn't like about the Norwegian Bliss was
the Havana show.
There are 2 Havana shows. There's 2 shows on the Bliss. At least there was when we went. I'm not sure if it's still playing now because they do, depending on popularity, they will update their shows.
It wasn't the greatest show, I'm sorry.
But for our Bliss cruise, the Havana show was one that it was okay.
It kind of lost us after a while. We didn't know what the storyline was, really.
It was very hard to follow, and actually a lot of people were leaving that. Now, their other show they had was Jersey Boys.
That was awesome.
That was a very good show. I'm surprised we didn't put that on our top things that we liked about it, because we really did like the Jersey Boys. But
honorable mention.
But on the other hand, Havana was almost the complete opposite.
It was a polar opposite. It was just... I don't know. I don't remember the music really, so it wasn't that great.
It was okay. Would I see it again? No. I wouldn't want to go and see it again.
Sorry.
But, so our number 4 of things we didn't like about the Norwegian Bliss is Havana, the show.
So number 3 would be the process of the dining. Sometimes it would take up to 2 hours from being seated all the way to finishing your food and leaving, because so many people were there. We had a huge group, so we did have our own waiters at each table and everything, but still sometimes it did take a little longer. The food was still hot and everything, but it was just the process. If you had like plans after dinner, you didn't want to make plans until after 2 hours from your starting point of dinner, I think.
You couldn't go in at the last minute. And that was one of the consensus that we've heard from other people, not even people that had a big, large group with them. They were saying that whenever they were at a sit-down restaurant, whether it was breakfast, there was always a longer period for you to get your food. So if you have things that you want to get planned and get out there on an excursion, go experience the ship, and the time that it takes to get served, that's definitely not something that you want on a ship. So for our number 3 is the wait time process to get your food, get in and get out for dining. So the Norwegian Bliss was our first non-Disney cruise that we went on, and there was a lot of different things that we had to experience. Our number 2 thing that we did not like about the Bliss was us having to make reservations for certain things.
Right when you get on the ship.
Right when you get on the ship.
Otherwise, you run out of space to do it.
So some of the things you could book beforehand. We were able to book our Havana and our Jersey boys beforehand. We were able to do a couple of other things, our main dining stuff. But we had to make reservations for laser tag, the go-karts, the comedy club, the escape room, and also the other one, which was Prohibition. I'm not sure if you had to do that.
We didn't do that, though.
And then there was one more on there. Let me see if I can remember it. Did I say laser tag go-karts?
We did laser tag go-karts in the comedy room. We did the adult version comedy room.
And also the silent dance that you had to make reservations for.
But we didn't do that, though.
We didn't get a chance because it was already done with on it. So you're trying to get on the ship, and we felt really pressured that we had to get on the ship and get down to the. You had to make those reservations.
You couldn't
in
take
the center.
In what you were looking at, really.
In the center of the ship is a club called the Social, and you're right. You couldn't really take it in because our first focus was we want to do go karts, we want to do laser tag. Let's hurry up and get in there because there's 4,000 passengers on this ship. So we made a rush on that, and that just made it stressful for us to try to make the reservation. So things can change, you know. Every year companies are changing things, but if there was one thing that we wish we could have done before we went on the ship was making reservations for those things. So our number 2 that we didn't like was the fact that you had to make reservations for certain things.
And our number 1 thing that we did not like on the Bliss is that we did not like the amount of upcharges on the restaurants, the go-karts, the laser tag, the Prohibition, which we didn't watch, the Starbucks, and the ice cream. So there were upcharges that were not included with the actual price of the cruise ship. And so you had to pay separately to do any of that stuff if you wanted to do it.
So those are related to more of like hidden costs and things that you have to do that you didn't plan for when you were going sailing on it. And that's one of the things that it's hard when you're cruising to, okay, how much do I budget for this on that? So there seemed to be a lot that...
Even the coffees that we did that had the alcohol in it and things like that, that was an upcharge.
Correct, because it had the alcohol in it. Yeah,
it wasn't part of your unlimited alcohol package either.
So in reality, if you didn't want to do any of the upgrade restaurants, if you didn't want to do any of the additional shows to pay a charge, you would still have a really good time on the Bliss. Yep. The main room dining, the buffets are great options for you to go, and the complimentary shows that they have, the Broadway style shows, those are really good too. But the other things are so enticing that you want to experience those. You just feel like you're being nickel and dimed a little bit. So
you may or you may not like it.
Correct.
So be prepared for that.
I don't think any of these were really incredibly bad.
They weren't downers on the ship or on the trip itself, but it just added to expenses and things if you wanted to do it.
So coming up on our next chapter of this episode is what is the Disney magic like? So we're going to go behind the scenes of what we liked and what we didn't like about the Disney magic. And then the video after that, we are going to have a Disney magic versus the NCL Bliss. Now the Disney magic is over 20 years old. The Bliss is now just over a year old.
But it's Disney.
Is it fair to compare? So we will find out.
It's Disney.
So you guys, we hope you enjoyed watching our show of what we felt, what we liked about the Norwegian Bliss and what we didn't like about it. If you are new to us, please consider subscribing. We would love for you to join our journeys. We do have the NCL Escape coming up in just it's less than 2 months away. So we'll hope you join us for our adventures on that. And anything else you want to add, Greg?
Like and subscribe, please.
Like
and click that notification bell. And tell all your friends and family about us.
There you go. And until next time, explorers, as Walt Disney says,
We are just getting started.